What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day today, and I hope it gets even better from watching this video. Today we're doing another edition of habits that will make you more attractive, more magnetic. Anytime I do a video like this, there's always comments like, what about you just be yourself? Sure, you can ignore all these tips. You can just continue doing what you've been doing. If that's working for you, go ahead. It's none of my business. You do you. But these tips or these habits help you to function from a more self-assured, self-respected, confident place, which feels better. It feels empowering and it gets you better results. Plus, it creates a healthier relationship down the line. So that is what I wanted to focus more on in this video. In the last video, it was more like early stages of dating. So I'll link that down below if you haven't seen it yet and you want to watch it. In this one, I've got 5 habits/tips, and they can totally be applied to like earlier stages of dating, but they're also very well suited for like a long-term relationship and just creating a healthy long-term dynamic if that is what you're looking for. Okay. I just had to get that out of the way because there's always someone having something to say. If you're new here, by the way, I'm Nika. Welcome. I make videos all about self-development. It's very like action-based. This is a to-do list and this is what you can do, just because that's just how my brain works. That resonates with me. So if it resonates with you, I hope you stick around and subscribe. Also check out my social media if you want to see more of just like my day-to-day life. I also always ask you guys on Instagram recommendations for videos, or you guys vote like which one you want to see next. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure to check that out. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. One last thing before we jump into it. This is more for the girlies, or if you're just like a feminine guy, whatever you're into, none of my business, you do you. But I'm obviously a woman. I've never been a man. So this is where we're coming from, okay? Just so we're all on the same page. Alrighty, let's jump into it. Habit/tip number 1, instead of trying to do so much more, be more. Because of society, the way we've been raised, a lot of us have guilt of like not doing enough, or constantly feeling like we should be doing more, especially when it comes to relationships and family. Like, just look at mom guilt. Have you ever heard of dad guilt? I personally haven't. It probably exists, but it's a very like female thing. I was raised in a Slavic culture where this is very prominent. Like, guys are raised in a very different way than girls are. As girls, we're constantly being reminded of like having to be a good girl and doing everything right and blah, blah, blah. And even if all of this doesn't resonate with you, if you have an anxious or disorganized attachment style, when a man pulls away, you go ahead and you start doing more. It triggers that anxiety of like, this person might leave and abandon me. And that is like the biggest fear of someone who has, for example, an anxious attachment style. So that gets triggered, and then you're like, let me do more. Let me start leading this relationship. Let me start planning all the dates. Let me start reaching out. It creates a pretty unhealthy dynamic in a relationship if you feel like you are more feminine and you want a guy who's more masculine energy-wise. It totally disrupts that balance. The point that I was trying to make, and I never got to for some reason, is that in that moment when you're feeling disconnected, you feel that person's attention somewhere else, and you're lacking that connection, what you need emotionally is some love, some nurturing, attention. And by you doing more, like reaching out more, planning more dates, doing more around the house, it does not inspire men and want to make them do that. Like, that is not what happens in their mind. So it's just a plan that we do subconsciously that fails. Like, it does not give us what we actually want and need in that moment. You kind of get into that like desperate energy and behavior, and that is very unattractive, and a lot of the time people disconnect even more, and then you chase them even more, and then you do it even more, and then they disconnect even more, and it becomes this chasing game where you are the one that's chasing, and that feels very unnatural if you are feminine and he is masculine. What you can do though that will also make you feel so much better is to take that excess energy that you were just anxious to pour into them and pour it back into yourself. And you can do this all the time. You can practice this every day. You don't have to start doing it when that anxiety gets triggered, because that's going to be much harder. Use this as a mantra. I'm not going to do more, I will be more. And what that means can be totally up to you. It can be like you're going to focus more of your energy on becoming more active and healthier, and you're going to learn and grow in your hobbies and interests and passions. You're going to grow your business. You're going to, whatever it is you want to focus on. It also makes you much more interesting and magnetic and attractive, because you're constantly doing things. You constantly have new things to talk about. If you're dating, for example, or even in a relationship, when he asks you like, oh, what have you been up to this week or today? You have so many things to share because you're constantly doing things and you have a rich, fulfilling life outside of this relationship. And that is super attractive. And that is like a magnet for most like masculine men. This works so well. Of course, it doesn't guarantee a relationship. You know, there's so many factors, but it does help so much and it will make you feel so much better as well. Woo. Tip/habit number 2, focus on becoming a really, really good team player. I felt like this was super like obvious advice, but I've seen so much bullshit on TikTok recently when it comes to this that I'm just like, what is going on? When we talk about a lot of the things that like we want in a relationship, to feel safe, to feel secure, to have support, to have trust, to have like someone who's always there for you, your cheerleader, the person that knows you the best, like all of these things can kind of be summed up in you want a really, really good team player. You want the best team of you two. And it's you and him against the problem, not you and him against each other. And that is so powerful and it creates such a fulfilling, healthy relationship where you feel super confident. What I've been seeing so much on TikTok is this advice, or just seeing people doing this, which is bizarre to me, of going on a date, or I've seen this on podcasts, like a man asking a woman, vice versa, what do you bring to the table? Excuse me? What the is that? What is that? If someone asked me that on a first date or any date, I would be out of there. That is such a red flag. And the fact that people are doing this and like they think it seems so confident and like I'm self-assured, I know what I'm looking for, and so I'm just gonna ask you that, is so bizarre to me. It's like asking a man how much money he makes on a date. Like the fact that this has become normalized on TikTok is wild. It is so unattractive. It is so pathetic in my eyes. It makes you seem insanely selfish. Like in my mind, alarm bells would go off of like, is this person a narcissist? Obviously, while you're dating, you get to see what the person brings to the table. You get to also see how much money they make. It's not that hard to kind of gauge how wealthy someone is. It's pretty easy. You don't need to ask someone, okay? And also, if a person would ask me this on a first date or any date, it would signal to me that you're in this not to get to know me and see what this can become and be a team player. You're just looking of what you can get out of me. And women ask this as well, obviously. So it goes both ways, but it's just wild to me. And I wanted to bring that up so badly because it's insanity. On the topic of what do you bring to the table, it is actually really helpful to know what you bring to the table. And I don't mean, again, what you're doing, more just who you are and what your like amazing traits are that you bring to the person that you're dating and the relationship in itself. It does help to feel confident. Like, okay, if you date me, if you don't like me, that's fine. I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Someone else will. And you don't have to say any of that, but it's just good to know that within yourself. Because if for a second you kind of look at what a good team is and what it means to be a good team player, everyone has their roles. And that means that they know exactly what they're good at. You need to understand that what you bring to the table is just as valuable as what a man brings to the table. There are different traits, but they're just as valuable, and they create an amazing team and they create an amazing relationship because they fulfill one another, right? In a team, obviously, you need to communicate well. That doesn't mean you never disagree. Obviously, if you've ever been in an actual team when it comes to work or school or whatever, you know that you will disagree. But again, it's like me and you against the problem, not me and you against each other. And that is so valuable when it comes to a long-term relationship. And knowing that if I'm like slipping, if I'm just not doing well, I know that my boyfriend is there and he can hold down the fort. Okay, tip/habit number 3. And this kind of goes hand in hand with being a team player, right? You know what you bring to the table. And if you are a more feminine woman, if you are in your more feminine energy, and that can be authentic to you. It doesn't have to be this black and white thing that we all see on the internet now with these like how to be more feminine, how to step into your feminine energy videos. I actually made a video that's like how to find your authentic feminine energy. So I'll link that down below if you're interested. But if you are more feminine, a lot of us naturally shine at being caring, nurturing, loving, like creating that softness. Just a very practical example of this, which most of us have seen so many times. Like a man gets into a relationship, his apartment was completely bare, like it looks like he's lived there for a week. And then the girlie moves in and she creates like this comfortable, amazing space. Like that, for example, is what most of us, of course it's a generalization, are very good at in bringing that softness and that nurture and that love and like the comfort. That is natural to most of us. Of course, some men are amazing at it also. But something that masculine men are amazing at is being protective and making you feel super safe, secure, and stable. So again, inspire that in him by just being super feminine and credit him for that. I cannot tell you how men shine, like genuinely shine, when you tell them, you make me feel so safe and so protected, and it's like changing my entire life. I can be vulnerable and soft because of you. Even just saying like, you make me feel so safe, like that is enough. But obviously don't say it if it's a lie, but hopefully it's true. And if it's not, maybe that's not a great relationship for you to be in if you are very naturally feminine, because it is honestly exhausting for us. Like we're already forced to not really be in our feminine energy out in the world. A lot of us, depends on your career and what you're doing in life, but it is hard to be in your like feminine energy all the time, which is natural and kind of stress-free for us. So having a man who gives you that is so invaluable. Like it is, I've never felt it before this relationship, and I can just promise you that it like changes your life. And crediting him for that, it like just inspires them to do more of that and makes them feel confident. It's like, wow, I did that. Obviously that feels good. Like just imagine if your boyfriend came up to you and he was like, I have to tell you, like I was able to reach all these goals because I've got you by my side, and that's invaluable. I don't think I would be able to do that without you by my side. Whoo! Excuse me, that feels so good, you know? It goes both ways. We just bring different things to the table, and it's time for us to start seeing both our feminine traits and their masculine traits as something that's incredibly valuable and inspiring those traits in each other. And that creates the best dynamic ever. And again, an amazing team. The fourth habit is super straightforward, but also goes hand in hand with everything we've talked about so far. And that is when you guys are out together and you're with your friends, your family, his friends, his family, doesn't matter. Do not speak negatively about him. I don't know why we do this as women. Like, I've rarely seen guys do this. I'm sure some of them do, but it is something that a lot of us have done in the past or are doing. And I understand, like, sometimes you're talking to his brother, he's right there, and you're like, you know, kind of relating with his brother on his negative traits and what you have to endure because you're with him. Like, I get it. It's like relatable, like a little quirky, you're funny, haha, he's great. Not great though. Like, just imagine how you would feel if he all of a sudden started going on and on about your bad traits and everything you're not good at and how you are so hard to be with in front of your people or his people. I would be shocked. First of all, if my boyfriend did that, I would be like, why are you being passive aggressive? Like, what is happening here? Like, just let me know what bothers you. Why are you doing this in front of all these people? Like, it is so disrespectful. It, again, is the opposite of being a good team player. Like, imagine how he feels when you do that, and then flip it around and ask yourself, how would he feel if you sat there and you were like, oh my God, Jack built this like amazing thing in the front yard. Like, you guys should all see it. And let me show you pictures. Like, he's so good at it. And I love that he, you know, he's so good with his hand, whatever, I don't know. But like, imagine how amazing that would make him feel. It also makes him see you in such a more positive, amazing light. And it makes him confident that like, she's there. She sees how amazing I am. That gives me confidence. I want to do more things for her because this is how she reacts. This is like, you know, like, who wouldn't want that? It's the same for women also. And same goes if like his family or his friends are starting to like, you know, say negative things about him. you either stay quiet, you don't need to get involved with like starting a whole argument. That is not the point here. He can, I'm sure, stand up for himself and you should let him do that. But when they kind of throw the ball in your court and are kind of waiting for you to say something positive. Just boost this man's ego, okay? Because no one likes to sit there and hear all these awful things about themselves. Like even if he knows that those are true, maybe, it's still like, why would you do that? As his partner, his team player, you don't have to do all that, okay? You really don't. And hopefully you're in a relationship with someone that you respect, because that is just respectful, common sense behavior. The last tip, habit number 5, is to become enthusiastic about the world, yourself, your life together, him, your relationship, all of it, okay? It is so magnetic. You're like a magnetic force of sunshine and positive energy. And that is, first of all, makes you feel so much better when you are like that. I made a whole video about this where I shared like tips and tricks to have a more positive, resilient mindset. So I'll link that down below. But you become so magnetic, like people naturally want to be around you because they feel your enthusiasm and the positivity and the gratitude. It inspires people around you. It also makes them feel more alive. And like, we all want that, right? Of course, we all have bad days. Of course, there are problems and we should deal with them. It's not like you should just push them to the side and just be, woo, enthusiastic, yay. There's a time and a place, of course. But when you can be super enthusiastic and grateful for the life that you have and all the magical, beautiful things that are around you and being open to them and pointing them out, it's just so attractive. And that, of course, goes with like if he takes you somewhere, or if he, let's say, buys a new car and you're driving in the car and you're like, oh my God, baby, you did it. Like, look at what you did. This car is so amazing. Like, we're going here, we're doing, or if he takes you to a restaurant, you're like enthusiastic about the experience, the food, the environment, just you and him having time together. Like, it is magnetic and it is attractive. And also it's addictive. Like, it inspires him to do more things for you, to like keep doing what he's doing, because it makes you feel so amazing. And that makes him feel confident and really good in the relationship. And it just creates a really amazing dynamic. And it also just makes you feel great and you see the world in such a more positive, beautiful light. And that's always a plus. Alrighty guys, that is it for this video. If there's anything you want me to go more into detail with, or if you want to continue these chats, let me know. Make sure to subscribe, check out my social media, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.